Hello and welcome back to Joshua to YouTube. Today we're going to be talking about compressing your irons. We're going to do 3 levels of this. First one is going to be beginner, second is going to be advanced, and then third is going to be professional. So let's dive straight into it. Okay, the first step to all of this is going to be this setup. Okay, how do I set up correctly to get compression with my irons? So my little secret I like to use is going to be this lead arm. Okay. What do I mean by that? The lead arm for me never moves. So the trail arm will always go to the lead arm, right? So depending on ball position is going to be how much shaft lean we have on the club. So if I was to go front of the stance, let's say something like a driver, and we meet this lead arm, you can see how there's hardly any shaft lean on that. But if we now go to the back of the stance, and we now meet the lead arm, you can see how much shaft lean we have on this club. So depending on ball position is going to set up our shaft lean. So for something like a 8 iron or a 9 iron, it's traditionally in the middle of our stance. We're going to go right in the middle here, and then we're going to take the trail arm to meet the lead arm. Notice this good bit of shaft lean. So all depending on what club you've got, like when you go up to a 5 iron, a longer iron, obviously it's going to be further away from the ball now and more towards the front of the stance. But guess what? This lead arm never moves. So we still have a nice bit of shaft lean, but obviously it's a lot less than what we did have with a 7 iron. So that's the beginner level. We're now going to move on to advanced. Okay, so we've completed the beginner stage. We've done the setup. Now we're on to maintaining the angle. This is the advanced level to this. So what do I mean by maintaining the angle? We've got a really good setup position. We've got a good shaft lean, but what happens to people's golf swings? They get to the top and they unload that angle that they had to set up. The club starts to overtake the hands and you get that ugly flippy golf shot that pops up really high. You lose that compression, and especially with your irons, you're probably losing a hell of a lot of distance. So a really good drill to help this is going to be lead hand on the club, the glove hand, and then the right hand on. We've got it touching the left hand side of the body here. So this drill is going to be to hold, obviously we're holding on to the angle, okay? So if I make a swing, notice how this left side of my body doesn't get hit by the shaft because I'm keeping that angle on, right? What happens when you unload the angle? You're going to get a nasty hit from the shaft here on the left hand side of your body. That is just where the hands are trying to release the club. We don't want that. We want to keep the angle on, feel that iron maintaining the angle and keeping that shaft flex on, okay? So now once we've done a few of them swings, we're going to go into our setup. Good position, lead arm never moves. We've got the setup and now we go. A beautiful swing and just maintaining that angle. Okay, I just want to say congratulations if you've made it this far, because you've done the beginner, you've done the advanced, and we're now on to the professional level 2 compression. So in my opinion, the professional level is all about low point. Something that top golfers do without even thinking about. I've got to a point where low point, doesn't really come into my mind. I'm not thinking about where I'm striking the ball. It just happens naturally. But for some people that struggle with low point, fats and fins, this is going to be something that's going to really help you control your compression and get the ball striking perfect every time. So if we stayed in our setup position here, we would be perfect. The low point doesn't really change because setup's not moved. But what happens when we swing the golf club a little bit longer, what I see most commonly with amateurs, is going to be they start to move off of it. When you're back here, you're going to struggle to get that same low point that you got at setup. So the professional level to this is going to be really staying centered and pivoting around the body. When you pivot correctly, you're going to keep that good low point that you had at the start. But when you move off of the golf ball, that's when you're really going to struggle to find that low point. So the last part to this is going to be get your wedge out, and really try and stay centered over the ball. This is just going to help control that low point massively. And when you do this bit right, you're really going to notice it in the ball striking. You should start to strike it really consistent when you control staying centered. Now, as you go up the bag with something like a driver, you can definitely start to move off of it because we're looking for more power. We're not trying to compress that as much. But something like a wedge, I'm really trying to stay centered around that core to keep that low point very controlled. So if you did learn anything new and you enjoyed that video, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, it's free, and thank you all for watching. See you all for the next one.